Hi there, folks. Welcome to the program. This, of course, is Stinchfield, the podcast. There are Democrats and some Republicans pushing the Trump administration, pushing this president to make one of the biggest mistakes that they could make in this war with Iran, and that is stopping before the job is finished. Now, there is no indication that President Trump is going to succumb to this pressure, and I applaud President Trump for refusing to succumb to this pressure. But stopping now would be one of the biggest mistakes. Has America not learned its lesson of what happens when we don't finish the job? Just go back to Iraq and look at the invasions there going back to Gulf War I. It is imperative that Iran have zero military capabilities moving forward from this point. So you cannot stop until the job is done. And let me say this to all my friends out there that say, oh, we voted for a president that vowed no new wars. Do you think this is a new war? Do you think the war with Iran is new? This isn't a new war. This is an old war. It's a war that's 47 years old, and President Trump is taking the steps necessary to end it. You voted for President Trump to get us out of wars. Stop wars. No new wars. This is exactly what the man is doing. We're going to talk about all of this and the good news. When I say don't stop now, it doesn't mean that this is going to have to go on for months and months and months. I actually believe the United States military is further along than they thought they would be. I've been saying the end of March to end this special operation. The end of March. It looks like it could be sooner than that. And that is good news for the American people, bad news for the Iranian regime, good news for the Iranian people. So we're going to talk about all this. President Trump held 2 news conferences yesterday. Let me ask you, you think Joe Biden would have been this transparent during an operation like this? Not a chance in hell. So great stuff from President Trump yesterday. We're going to go through that today. Before we do, folks, my buddy over at VRAinsider.com, he called it yesterday. He said, Grant, don't panic. Don't start selling stocks on Monday. Things will rally. And look at what the market did yesterday. They rallied. It rallied. Then again, it looks like everything's moving in the right direction. VRAinsider.com. That's VRAinsider.com. This is a daily newsletter that spells out the positions you need to be holding. This is not a day trading deal. This is a position situation where you have up to 15 positions, anywhere from 30 days to years. You could hold these positions. They return on average 35%. That is pretty amazing. Not an investment service, but a newsletter. You get a 2-week trial if you sign up today. VRAinsider.com. I took a sizable portion of my investments and directly put it right to the VRA system. And I'm doing well, weathering this little storm hiccup that we had towards the end of last week. Everything's looking good. Thanks to Kip Herridge and my friends over at VRAinsider.com. That's VRAinsider.com. Get that 2-week trial. Get access to everything. You're going to love it. All right, with that, folks, let's start. Let's start the show.
Uncensored and unapologetic. This is Stinchfield. Here's your host, Grant Stinchfield.
All right. President Trump is ending an old war. He's not starting a new one. Get this through your thick heads. Anybody out there, oh, I didn't vote for this. I didn't vote for a new war. It's not a new war. Iran is responsible for killing, maiming just about every American soldier over the last 3 decades. Longer. Every roadside bomb in Afghanistan and Iraq was made by Iran, placed there by Iran, terrorists funded by Iran. This is an old war that President Trump is ending. Now, the biggest mistake that President Trump could make, the biggest mistake America could make is ending it too soon, is not finishing the job. Now, there are no indications that I see that President Trump is even considering ending this too soon. But you've got those on the left coming out and asking him to do this. You've got some on the right coming out and asking him to do this, insisting this is not America's role. not America's role to save American citizens? We saw what happened in New York City. Thank God these two ding-dong terrorists couldn't make the right concoction to blow up these IEDs they threw into a crowd of anti-Muslim protesters. We're going to talk about that a little bit later in the program. But the threat from Iran is very real, including these lone wolf sleeper cells here in the United States. Don't think it's not. Now, the most transparent president in American history took to the stage yesterday, not once, but twice. Yes, twice. And I'll tell you what, nothing short of amazing. Now, here's the good news, I believe.
Thank you, Mr. President. On Iran, you called it an excursion. You said it would be over soon. Are you thinking this week it will be over?
No,
Are you talking
but soon.
about days?
I think soon.
Okay, and with respect
Very
to...
soon. Look, everything they have is gone, including their leadership. In fact, there are two levels of leadership, and even actually, as it turns out, more than that. But two levels of leadership are gone. Most people have never even heard about the leaders that they're talking about. So it's obviously been very, very powerful, very effective.
So very soon, not days, but soon. That would tell me not months. I do believe by the end of March at the latest, we should see a wind down to all of this. What's going to be left of Iran? Nothing. We've decimated its Air Force. We've decimated its Navy. We're still searching for many of the ballistic missile sites, some of them on wheels, which makes things a little bit harder. But we control the skies now. We have absolute 100% control of the skies above Iran. That puts us in the best position possible. We control the sea, though we've got to get these Straits of Hormuz under control. We're going to talk about that in a little bit. But what could go wrong here? Now, I was talking to a friend of mine at the gym yesterday, and they were asking me, do you think this is going to end? I'm worried the government's lying to us like they did during COVID. And they said 2 weeks to stop the spread. Remember that? We were told just lock up in your houses, 2 weeks to stop the spread, wear these stupid masks, and we'll be good. And what happened? It wasn't 2 weeks. It was months and months and months this nonsense went on for. And I told them, listen to me, two things very different. Yes, I understand President Trump was in control there, but he didn't have his people in control. Everything has changed since President Trump has taken office for a second time. He doesn't have these deep staters in the highest positions of power. There are deep staters still there, but not in the highest levels of power. You had people in President Trump's cabinet the last time around that thought it was their role to put guardrails on President Trump. That's not the role of a cabinet. President Trump didn't make that mistake again. He has loyalists now inside his cabinet, and to me, that's a very, very good thing. It doesn't mean they can't push back. It doesn't mean they can't voice their opinion. But what it means ultimately is they are there to carry out the president's mission. So when we had in COVID, when they said 2 weeks to stop the spread, that was Fauci and the deep state in charge trying to rig an election, and President Trump didn't even see it coming. He does now. Now he knows what happened. So you had those people in charge. They were not sincere when they were telling you 2 weeks to stop the spread. They were lying to you. This is very different. Do any of you out there think President Trump is lying when he says, I think we're close? I think not days, but we got it almost wrapped up. I don't think he's lying. And I think Democrats, if they were intellectually honest, would tell you they don't think he's lying. Everything appears to be going just as planned. Now, I am so grateful to these men and women who lost their lives in this operation. They paid the ultimate price to keep all of us safe, to keep Iran in check, to make the world, not just America, a better place. Besides the casualties, and it's hard to say even besides, but besides the casualties, could we have this going any better? The only thing that I would have loved to have seen change is no casualties, but that's nearly an impossibility when you're dealing with a giant operation like this. So, God bless our men and women in uniform. God bless President Trump. But I'm telling you, right now, he's not lying to us like they did back then. So it is not an equivalent comparison. Okay? Now, here's where the media tries to play gotcha with him. And it is kind of annoying, like everything they do. I believe the Democrats want this to go wrong. The Democrats are itching for American lives to be lost, for Iran to rise up and rear its resurrected, ugly head. How can they root against America like that? Well, they've got the media rooting against us, too.
You've told your congressional colleagues that you will not sign any piece of legislation until the Save America Act is passed. Does that include the confirmation of Senator Mullen as your next?
Hold on, that's not the one. I am going to play that soundbite in a moment, but we got ahead of ourselves here. And let me figure out where I am on the hit parade here. Try this.
They did. Yeah, please. Go ahead. No, go ahead, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. You promised the Iranian people you would help them, but it sounds like you're willing to end this fight after your military objectives have wrapped up. Isn't that a betrayal of the people?
Will I help them? I'd like to, if they can behave, but they've been very menacing. You know, they're great people. They have an amazing population. It's amazing, smart, brilliant, energetic. They have a great, I'd love to help them, but they have to be in a system that allows them to be helped. And right now they're in a system that only allows failure. And I don't want that. And I want a system that's not going to be attacking us. We want a system that can lead to many years of peace. And if we can't have that, we might as well get it over with right now. Yeah, please.
So I believe President Trump is 100% spot on when it comes to this. Let me get me back up. He wants to help the Iranian people. There's a difference between the Iranian people and the Iranian regime. I don't say this about many societies, but I do say this about the Iranian people. They are a special breed, man. They really are. They come to America. They have the most successful businesses. They embrace freedom like nothing before. You see the Iranians, they are so pro-Trump. They are so MAGA. This is in many respects like the Cubans that come here, but the Iranians have even more success than the Cubans. I don't know what it is, but they do. Now, I know many of you will get mad at me when I say this too. You know who else are exceptional? The Israelis. And now I'm not going to lump in Jews and Israelis because there is a difference, an American Jew and an Israeli Jew. But the people from Israel, they do some of the most amazing things, right? I mean, when you look at the tech companies, when you look at the intelligence coming out of Israel, they really are a phenomenal set of people. And I look at that in many respects like I look at Iran. Now, nobody's like America, except that America has different factions of people. You know, when you look at Israel, there's not a lot of horrible poverty amongst the Israeli people. They've really managed to just solidify the middle class in that country. Now, America, our middle class, upper middle class, and wealthy are 100% the most exceptional people on earth. Sadly, because of liberal policies, people that are impoverished, in my respects, in my humble opinion, have become, quite frankly, lazy. We have given them a free pass. You know, poverty in America is not like poverty anywhere else. You go into the hood, you have people playing Xboxes in their bedrooms. They're wearing Air Jordan sneakers. Now, is it a place I want to live? No. Is it a rough and tumble place? Yes, but it's not like poverty in Nicaragua, for crying out loud. And we've trained, and I say we, I'm going to say our government, run by deep state and mostly liberals. We've trained them to be lazy, to be on the dole of the government. That is why there's a tale of two cities when it comes to America. It's not like that in every country. And so as a whole, Americans are the most exceptional people on earth. And we are the most exceptional nation on earth. What we can do, what we champion, when we set our minds to winning, nothing, and I mean nothing, is going to stop us. All right, I want to play some more of President Trump here. But before I do that, I want to tell you about my friends over at Lost Soldier Oil and Gas. LostSoldier.com, LostSoldier.com. If you're an accredited investor, if you've got an amount of money, I don't even know if I'm allowed to say it because of SEC rules, but let's listen to me here. There's an opportunity to take part in the resurgence of American energy. Lost Soldier Oil and Gas has secured 40,000 acres in the Wyoming's Bison Basin. This area, geologists have discovered natural gas in high-pressure horizontal wells. They believe this may be one of the largest discoveries of natural gas in the last 40 years. And the crazy thing is we always knew it was there, but there was a uranium mine that had to be reclaimed. Well, that reclamation process has completed. Lost Soldier has now secured that land. This is an opportunity for the everyday guy to get involved in a project like this, where typically it was only Wall Street investors that could have access to this. If you're interested, go to LostSoldier.com. That's LostSoldier.com. This is a major gas discovery, and I'm involved with the project. I've got some friends I trust that are involved with the project. I know the leadership. They've got a huge history of success behind them. I want you to check them out for yourself. Everything involves risk, but you got to check this out. LostSoldier.com. That's LostSoldier.com. And very important, you tell them that Grant sent you. That may be one of the most important steps. Tell them Grant sent you, and they're going to treat you as a VIP. They treat everybody like a VIP, but just tell them I sent you. All right, let's go back to President Trump and the war on Iran. Ending this would be absolutely devastating. I want to see this.
Thank you, Mr. President. On Iran, you...
All right, that we already did. This.
Yeah, please go ahead.
Mr. President, you just suggested that Iran somehow got its hands on a Tomahawk and bombed its own elementary school on the...
Okay, so this is the one that I wanted to play for you, because this is more of the media setting Trump up. Okay? And now, they can't do it, but they're constantly trying to play got you with him.
Yeah, please go ahead.
Mr. President, you just suggested that Iran somehow got its hands on a Tomahawk and bombed its own elementary school on the first day of the war. But you're the only person in your government saying this. Even your defense secretary wouldn't say that when he was asked, standing over your shoulder on your plane on Saturday. Why are you the only person saying this?
Because I just don't know enough about it. I think it's something that I was told is under investigation. But Tomahawks are used by others, as you know. Numerous other nations have Tomahawks. They buy them from us. But I will certainly, whatever the report shows, I'm willing to live with that report. Yeah, please.
So, you're the only one saying this. Now, this was this school that was bombed. There's no way the United States is bombing a school on purpose. Could it have been an accident? Maybe. DOD is investigating, but I don't think so. The precision of these strikes is nothing short of amazing. I mean, they could literally guide one of these missiles to a pimple on a flea's ass, okay? And America's not going to make a mistake like this. Now, the Iranian regime we know is brutal. Just like Hamas, they think the same way. This is straight out of the Hamas playbook. Go blow up one of your own buildings that are filled with innocent civilians and claim it's the enemy. That's exactly what Hamas does. So President Trump may not know it for sure, but he's got common sense. And he says, there's a real possibility that this is what happened, because I'd rather put money, or I would put money on the fact that Iran did this themselves rather than the U.S. screwing up. The U.S. doesn't screw up like that. I promise you. So Trump was great in this news conference, and he handled people, reporters in particular, that were just constantly out to get him. But he did give updates on the war, and I want to play them for you because I do think they're important to hear. Of when you hear influencers out there telling you that somehow Iran is winning, our military bases have been destroyed. There is no basis for this other than clickbait bullshit. I saw Tucker Carlson interview a guy that was claiming that our military bases had been blown up. Tucker, what are you doing? Now, this is a guy I have great respect for. I think he's one of the brilliant minds that conservatives have to offer, but come on. It seems like clickbait a lot lately. I mean, you crush my views on X. I'll admit it. You crush me. But I don't engage in this clickbait bullshit. Why are you doing it? Here's Trump.
Being utterly demolished. The Navy is gone. It's all lying at the bottom of the ocean. 46 ships. Can you believe it? In fact, I got a little upset with our people. I said, what quality of ship? Excellent, sir. Top of the line. I said, why did we just capture the ship? We could have used it. Why did we sink them? They said, it's more fun to sink them. I said, they like sinking them better. They say it's safer to sink them. I guess it's probably true. But think of it. We knocked out 46. It actually took 3.5 days. Their terrorist leaders are gone. We're counting down the minutes until they...
So, the leader's gone. Success is at hand. We're right there on the cusp. Just make sure we finish it, Mr. President. Make sure we finish it.
Actively combating Iranian drones, and our B-2 bombers recently dropped dozens of 2,000-pound bombs to destroy missile launchers all over Iran and buried deep under Iranian soil in many cases. The soil was no match. And we're also annihilating the manufacturing base that the regime uses to build drones and missiles at a rate that nobody thought was possible. We're knocking them out. We know where they all are. We're knocking them out very quickly.
These drones are so cheap that Iran was making. And they are devastating because it's very hard to spot them. They fly low. Radar doesn't always pick them up. We need eyes everywhere to see them coming. So then the key here is destroy where they're able to make them. And then ultimately they're going to run out of them and they can't make more. Seems like a smart plan to me. So that's how we're handling the drones. Now, the drones are also what's posing a threat to the Straits of Hormuz. Let's face it. The United States has destroyed the Iranian Navy. I think it's up over 50 ships now that the United States has sunk. 50 ships. So we've destroyed their Navy. So they're not going to be able to take boats and go sink these freighters. They're going to have to do it with drones. How do we stop the drones? Well, we could have naval ships that can protect the freighters. We could have aerial operations that can protect the freighters. But in the end, the best thing would just be to diminish the threat until that happens. So President Trump says, hey, we'll escort freighters with Navy ships. We'll insure those freighters through the Straits of Hormuz. You know, Lloyd's of London basically is the ones that insures these big giant freighters. And they said in the Straits, we're not going to insure them anymore. It's too dangerous. Well, they're not getting insured. Nobody's moving. Traffic has come to a halt. So Trump says, what is it called? The International Development Corporation. It's a U.S.-run deal. Says we'll insure these freighters through the Straits of Hormuz, which means Lloyd's of London has it. Then it gets picked up by us. Then Lloyd's of London picks up the insurance again. This keeps the flow going. But after President Trump announced all of this yesterday, the price of oil dipped in a very, very big way. So the price of oil went up to $110 a barrel and then went all the way down to $85. I'm going to look and see where oil is right now at the time of this taping. At the time of this taping, oil is at $83 a barrel. It was 110. They told you oil was going to spike and stay there and do all these things. Not with President Trump on the job. He's not going to let it happen. When will everyone out there realize President Trump knows what he's doing? He knows how to handle these situations. He's got a plan for everything. This is going so well. And not to jinx it, but Micron Technologies, I bought options in that last week. And it's up $24 today. I'm in the money, baby. I'm in the money. Sorry. That's what happens when I pull up my stocks. I got my whole little watch list right here. You want to know what's on my watch list? The SPY, it's the S&P 500, NVIDIA, Apple, Micron Technologies, Amazon, NVIDIA. Then I've got the Qs. Then I've got crude oil. And then I've got S&P 500 mini futures. That's my watch list here. Broadcom on there too. All right, I digress. Let's keep up with President Trump here. Go.
No, I don't want to brag, but you know they've said this about a lot of things. No other president could do some of this shit I'm doing. No other president. The things I'm doing, nobody else was going to do it. They say it all the time. Sir, could you do this? You're the only one can do it.
They're right. I love this guy, man. I really do. And is he cocky? Nope. He's confident. There's a big difference between cockiness and confidence, okay? A lot of people say, oh, Stinch, you're cocky. I'm not cocky. I'm going to tell you why I'm not cocky. I'm completely humble. I'm so grateful for all of you. I'm so grateful for the audience. I'm so grateful for my job at Real America's Voice. I'm humble about that. You know how many people would kill for a job like that? The opportunities I had at Newsmax would kill for an opportunity like that. My social media following. Am I always working to build it even more? Of course. But you know how many people would kill for the following that I have? I'm humble about it. But here's what I am. I'm confident. And I'm confident because I know there are very few that can do the job that I do. There are very few that can. I have a few specialties. I'm not the smartest guy in the room, but I can simplify any issue for you. And I can pretty much grasp any issue. And here's the other thing that I have. I have intuition. And I hope from you watching this have realized that over the years here, the intuition comes in handy. So I've got intuition and I've got an ability to simplify things. That makes us top of the world, baby. That's not cocky. That's confident. And I know that if I go out there and do something, I have confidence that I'm going to be successful at it. Cockiness is you know you're going to be successful at it. I don't always know. There's risk in everything. Sometimes you fail. And the failures, in my mind, end up being a lesson. So how you win the next time. And if I lose that time, I know I win more than I lose. So anytime I lose, I'm just one step closer to winning again. That's how a confident person thinks. So there's a big difference between cocky and confidence. President Trump isn't cocky. He's confident. And I would like to think that I am too. Now, we were just talking about the markets, and I was telling you what my watch list is. Listen to him here.
So the market was wild today. I mean, it was just absolutely all over the place. Is the market looking at the military aspect of this, or are they looking at the energy aspect? Where's the smart money?
The market's looking at the energy aspect of it because the energy aspect of it, if it lingers, then it slows consumer spending. You slow consumer spending, you slow the GDP. You know, we're on the cusp of a major economic boom this year. The signs are already there from factory orders, manufacturing data, service data, and, of course, the refunds that you talked about at the opening of the show. So, you know, we don't want anything necessarily to hamstring that, right? We don't want any speed bumps as we're taking off. But listen, President Trump knows the mission is the mission. And the folks who don't want him to win in the media, the financial media, the mainstream media, they'll make anything the talking point. Wow, it lasted more than 7 days. You know what? It's going to last however long it lasts, but we are winning decisively.
Thank you. Charles Payne just said it. The people that don't want us to win. And then he ended with what I started this podcast with. It will end when it's over, not before. You can't say not after because it's it's over, right? It will end when it's over, not before. That's a good way to put it. Charles Payne knows that. And again, the biggest mistake we could make is ending it before the job is done. President Trump, again, no indications that that is going to happen in my mind. Now, let me tell you real quick, and then I'm going to run an interview with my buddy Kirk Lippold, who was the commander of the USS Cole. We talked about this yesterday and the importance of winning, and he had some advice for the administration. I'm going to play that for you in just a moment, but before I do that, I want to tell you about my friends over at the Wellness Company, twc.health/Grant. Use the promo code GRANT. One of the issues with the Straits of Hormuz is that it is virtually shut down. This is going to have an effect on supply in the short term, and that includes prescription medications. I want you to get one of these prescription medication kits from the Wellness Company. Inside here, you have some of the most common prescription medications that you will need: amoxicillin. You've got ivermectin in here. You've got a whole slew of prescriptions that you and your family would need. And God forbid there's a shortage or the drugstores are shut down or power outages. You have them on hand. Go to twc.health/Grant. Use the promo code GRANT. They'll send them right to your door. You put them in a drawer, and I hope you never need them. I really do. But you'd rather have them and not need them than need them and not have them. And it could save a life. The other product I want you to think about is Ultimate Spike Detox. This should be a daily supplement. Get that spike protein out of your system. But this is really an immunity booster. What is in here, formulated by Dr. McCullough, is designed to keep you healthy. Ultimate Spike Detox, and get that spike protein out of your system. And then just what I used today. My hip pain was acting up a little bit. I was going on a lot of walks over the last 2 weeks, taking the dogs out. TheraBlue is a peptide-based pain gel that penetrates deep, man. twc.health/Grant. Use the promo code GRANT for 10% off. Grateful for the Wellness Company's support of this program, and they support a lot of conservative podcasters. So support them as well, and your family will be safer for it. All right, Kirk Lippold was on the program last night. He is the commander of the USS Cole. You may remember the Cole was attacked by terrorists. We lost 17 sailors that day when the Cole was attacked. He was the commander of that boat. This is my interview with him.
Well, I think it was a great speech, very optimistic. I tend to be a little bit more guarded given my 26 years in the Navy, in that I would say that Iran is still very dangerous. Their ability to project power clearly still exists in the eyes of the insurance industry and those maritime assets trying to get oil out of the Middle East. We're making significant progress. Secretary Hegseth alluded to that. But there's still more to be done. And until Iran's ability to project power out from their shores into the Strait of Hormuz is completely stopped, so that you have maritime supremacy, maritime superiority where they cannot do that, I think that they're going to still be somewhat guarded. But as we've seen, oil's coming down now. The price per barrel is beginning to decrease, because I think the world is beginning to understand the United States is creating the conditions necessary for the flow of oil from the Middle East to begin and stabilize and allow economies around the world to continue to function and grow.
Art, if you were back at the Pentagon and Secretary of War Hegseth was asking you for your advice now, when you say Iran's ability to project power, Commander, where exactly is that coming from? Are there certain things that the United States military could hit to continue to diminish that power? What would you tell them to go after?
I think, Grant, we would still go. What I would tell Secretary Hegseth is continue to do what you're doing. We've already targeted all of their vessels. They're gone. We need to start targeting the infrastructure that they need, piers, fueling depots, all those things that would allow them to get any type of vessel underway and out. Plus, clearly, we've got a notice to mariners out where anything coming off Iran shores is going to be declared hostile and sunk. This is not a time to be going fishing. This is a time to be staying at home, hunkered down, because if you get underway and you come out into the Strait of Hormuz or off the shores of Iran, you're going to be designated as hostile, taken under fire, and sunk.
You know, Commander, when I look at what's happening, I feel so proud of the United States military. I feel so proud of what President Trump and his whole team have been able to accomplish there in very short order. But I feel the Democrats don't feel the same way about this, specifically Democrats in positions of power in Washington. Let me play a clip from Chris Murphy, Senator, Democrat, of course, which kind of leads me to believe what I'm saying to you. I want to play the clip and then let you respond.
But what they fail to understand is that you can't bomb knowledge out of existence. Even if you were to do something wildly dangerous, like putting American ground forces in to try to extract some of their enriched uranium, there's still going to be the knowledge inside Iran, so that if you don't actually succeed in putting a new leader inside that country, they'll just be able to rebuild that capacity as soon as American forces are gone.
Commander, I think to translate for everybody at home, what Murphy's saying is the United States just can't win this war. Iran will be back. I think he's wrong on this, Commander.
Grant, I think you're absolutely right. I was stunned in listening over the weekend at the number of people from the Democrat Party, the senators and the House members, who are speaking up, and it's almost like they are wishing for the military to die and for our country to fail in this operation against us, the number one state sponsor of terrorism, a country that has killed Americans since 1983, hundreds of dead, thousands of maimed and injured, and they want to view it only through the lens of what's going on today. I don't know what's going on with their nuclear program. The bottom line is Iran has been and continues to be a threat to the U.S., Israel, the Middle East, and the world. The United States, under President Trump's leadership, took decisive action to eliminate that threat. If not now, when? And I asked, just like I did the other day, what's the number? How many more Americans would need to die before this country's willing to do something to stop that country from killing us? The bottom line is we're acting now. Democrats need to get on board and support the military to completing their objectives and allowing our nation to prosper.
Look, you just called it out that for 47 years, Iran has been a threat to Americans. Anybody that's been blown up by a roadside IED in any of the conflicts we fought, that roadside IED probably came from Iran. Yet this is Senator Mark Warner, also a Democrat. Before I let you go, I'll play one more just to get you fired up, Commander.
There's been 47 years of this conflict with Iran. There have been that pressure for much of the time. There was no imminent threat to, I believe, justify starting this war.
Guess I'll give you the last word, Commander.
Unbelievable. Imminent threat. Let's talk about it in the lens through today. That means that what the Democrats are saying is all those families who suffered the loss of a service member in Afghanistan or Iraq due to an IED, or the Beirut barracks bombing, or the embassy in 1983, your lives mean nothing because, gee, I don't detect an imminent threat today. That is clueless leadership and is totally unacceptable. At some point, that threat needed to be stopped.
Yep. And it sure looks like President Trump has managed to do that, and will continue until it's 100% completely snuffed out. Commander Kirk Lippold, we appreciate you coming on the program. As always, so good to see you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Grant.
That guy's become a friend of mine. You know, I get to meet some of the coolest people in the world. I think I've told you the proudest group of men that I'm friends with are the Benghazi badasses, okay? I've gotten to know them over the years, especially my time at the NRA. I was one of the first to do an interview with them as a group before the movie even came out. Super proud to be friends with them. Of course, there's President Trump on the list. He goes to the top of the list. I mean, I can't believe that I would sit and have dinner with President Trump on a number of different occasions. See him. He's always the first to come over to me, calls me out of a crowd. But these types of men like Commander Lippold and the Benghazi guys and the Navy SEALs that I worked with, Pat McNamara, who is, a former Delta Force guy. These are guys I'm like, man, I can't believe it. And then you go into the TV world. I was just talking. Shoot, I forgot to call him back. Sean Spicer, my buddy from Newsmax, was President Trump's former press secretary. He's become such a good friend of mine, and he called yesterday, and I gotta call him back. That reminds me. All right, folks, as we continue here, I just want to wrap this up and make it clear that we must finish the job. That is the absolute must of all musts. And I think President Trump is going to do that. I have no doubt in my mind that he's going to do that. And it's imperative that he does that. Now, one of the things that President Trump brought up was the SAVE Act yesterday. Now, the SAVE Act is imperative because, as President Trump says, it's not the SAVE Act, it's the Save America Act. Voter ID, prove you're an American citizen, and now no transgender surgeries for minors. It seems to be common sense. I'm not a huge fan of throwing that in because it muddies the waters in some respects, but it's common sense. So it shouldn't muddy the waters at all. But again, the media trying to trip him up.
You've told your congressional colleagues that you will not sign any piece of legislation until the Save America Act is passed. Does that include the confirmation of Senator Mullen as your next DHS secretary? Does that mean a DHS funding bill? And Senator Thune said today it's not a matter of whether or not your Republican colleagues agree with the policy. It's about changing the process. In other words, getting rid of the filibuster to get there.
So in order to get it, you're going to need Democrat votes. And what we're saying is the Save America, not the SAVE Act, which nobody knew what it was, the Save America Act, the Save America Act. And that's voter ID. We want voter ID. When a voter, we want to be able to see a picture of the voter. We want to be able to see that the voter is legitimate. We want, very importantly, confirmation that this voter is a citizen of the United States of America. And we want no mail-in ballot scams. So we have exceptions for the military, for sick, for disabled, and for people that are away, business trips or whatever. Even vacations will be very liberal in that. We've added two things to it: no men in women's sports and no transgender mutilization of our children. We don't want it's mutilization of our children, and we don't want that. So we added those two things. That's the 5 points. We have 5 very good points. It polls at 86% with Democrats. Think of that. The overall vote is 86%. With Republicans, it's 98%. And the only one opposed to it is a Democrat leadership because they cheat. They want to cheat. So we added those 2 points. We're going for the gold, and we're going to have to fight like hell. Now, certain things will happen. Certain things will take place.
Wait a second. I just want to point something out. What did he say? We're going to have to fight like hell. That's what he said on January 6th. Did he mean there we have to fight like hell, run to the Capitol, storm it, and create violence? Of course not. He didn't mean it on J6, and he didn't mean it there. The only reason why I point it out is because it's interesting. It's a phrase he uses. We got to fight like hell. Go up to the Capitol, let your voices peacefully and patriotically be heard. Fight like hell. We got to tell our senators to make sure we pass this through. Fight like hell. But again, the left is so disingenuous and deceitful. They'll take words out of context, use it against this president, use it against me and you. The problem is we're onto them.
I'm here to do a great job for the country. But we don't have a country if we're going to have elections that are so corrupt and so dishonest like we've witnessed over the last period of time. You know, as an example, virtually nobody has a system of mail-in ballots like we have. No other country in the world. France went away from it. They all went, you know why? Because it's corrupt. And Jimmy Carter, when he had a commission, frankly, I think it's probably the best thing Jimmy Carter did. He said, you can't have mail-in voting because it's inherently dishonest. And it's turned out to be totally dishonest, so we're going to fight for it.
Mail-in ballots was never called mail-in ballots. They were called absentee ballots. Oh, I'm going to be on vacation during Election Day. I'm going to fill out a form, ask respectfully, can I mail my ballot in? Approved. Oh, I'm serving the United States military. I've got a mail in my ballot because I'm not in the United States. Oh, I work for IBM and I'm stationed in Tokyo and I'd like to mail my ballot in. Okay. Not let's mail a ballot to every house in America. Hope they get it. And if they don't, let some rando homeless guy fill it out and mail it in because he's a Democrat. I don't think homeless people are the ones that are doing this. I think it's a highly organized scheme to gather up these excessive ballots that are out on the street that people don't even know are floating around out there to vote for Democrats. This is why mail-in ballots has to be squashed out. Now, I will say this. How happy were you to learn that the FBI has seized records from Maricopa County, that's Phoenix, Arizona, regarding the 2024 election? I believe the 2020 documents have all been destroyed by now. But 2024, they think shenanigans are going on. This comes after the FBI has seized documents, terabytes worth of documents from Fulton County, Georgia. And an FBI agent at a very high level has already said, guess what? We see signs of irregularities in the voting. Well, no shit. I saw signs of that the night of the election in 2020. And I said, where are the FBI agents to be banging down the door the next day? This needed to be investigated and vetted out within the days following that election, and nothing happened. Nothing. Why? Because you know who was in charge of the FBI, and they were in on it. That's why. Obama in 2020, you had the worst of the worst in charge of the FBI. Yes, it was Trump's administration, but we know he didn't control the FBI. And so how bad is it that election got stolen from him? Well, maybe we'll finally get to the bottom of it. The question then becomes, though, is when will we get retribution for it? When will people pay for it? That's quite frankly what we all want. Now, there's this issue with John Thune and the endorsement of John Cornyn. There was talk of a deal going down. If Trump endorses John Cornyn, then Thune will get the SAVE Act through. I don't buy any of it. I don't trust these vipers up there in Washington. Listen to this.
I don't think you can politically exist if you're not going to do voter ID and these things. I don't think the people in this country will stand for it. So I'm making my biggest plea tonight. It'll make you, and I'm not doing it for this reason at all. It'll guarantee the midterms. It'll guarantee the midterms. If you don't get it, big trouble, my opinion. If you get this, your midterms, and they know it. For two reasons. Number one, they won't be able to cheat. And number two, the people are demanding it. Every time I go out, Save America, sir, Save America Act. We want the Save America Act, sir. That's all they talk about. They don't talk about housing. They don't talk about anything. That's what they talk about. And if you send it up there, you're going to win the midterms at levels that you can't even believe. And you're going to win every election for a long time until somebody screws things up, and hopefully that won't happen. But I've never been more confident that if we keep these promises and deliver on this popular agenda, the American people will stand with us in overwhelming numbers, just as they did in 2024.
Yeah, they'll stand with you in overwhelming numbers because our votes will be counted legitimately. And the people that aren't allowed to vote won't be able to vote like they have been. So John Thune needs to get with the freaking program. I'll keep going back to this. This is CNN talking about exactly what President Trump was talking about.
What's the racial breakdown on this, right? Because I think a lot of people make the argument that people of color, non-white Americans, have a harder time procuring a photo ID to vote. But even here, take a look here. Favorite photo ID to vote. 85% of white people favor it. 82% of Latino. 76% of black Americans favor it. So the bottom line is this. Voter ID is not controversial in this country. A photo ID to vote is not controversial in this country. It is not controversial by party, and it is not controversial by race. The vast majority of Americans agree with Nicki Minaj that, in fact, you should have a photo ID to be able to vote.
Agree with Nicki Minaj. Not agree with President Trump, but agree with Nicki Minaj. That's going to, truthfully, I should thank the guy at CNN. Enton, what's this guy's name? Harry Enton. I should thank him because more people will take what Nicki Minaj has to say if you're on the left than they will what President Trump has to say. And I can back this up, by the way. You know, it always pains me to tell you that my parents are New York liberals. Now, my mom taught me everything I know about conservatism. I've told you this before. She is one for individual responsibility. I can do anything I want in life. Don't rely on others. Go get it. You are fabulous. She taught me everything. When you get knocked down, pull yourself up. Don't make excuses for things. Everything she taught me is not a liberal philosophy. It's a conservative philosophy. But yet, she's a liberal. So's my father. But my father's not really, but here I go down this road again. I mean, my dad's a real capitalist, great business guy. But I don't know. I just think he doesn't like Trump. So anyway, my point to this is my father, I don't talk to my mom at all about politics. She can't handle it. But my father, I at least can, for the most part, talk to him about it. He's for voter ID. He says, of course, why wouldn't you show your voter ID? And that's from a guy that disagrees with Trump on just about everything. Except I'll bet you if you didn't tell him it was a Trump proposal and you told him it was a Biden proposal, he'd agree with it, which is really pretty shameful. But he agrees with voter ID. Why wouldn't you show a voter ID? That's literally what every Democrat says to me. Well, you wouldn't if you know you're cheating. And the problem is that's what they know. They know they're cheating. Okay? So we got to get that. We got to get that passed. Now, real quick, let me tell you about. Did I do Patriot Mobile yet? I don't know if I did my Patriot Mobile ad. Did I? Just in case. They'll get a twofer if I didn't do it. PatriotMobile.com/Grant. 972-PATRIOT is the number to call. 972-PATRIOT. You know I love this organization, America's only Christian conservative wireless provider. They believe in the things we do, and they put their money where their mouth is. A portion of the money they make from your cell phone service goes to pushing conservative causes, candidates, taking back school boards, messaging, helping support programs like this that get the message out in a very, very big way. We'd be lost without Patriot Mobile. But even more than that, folks, the service is even better because you get a guarantee. You can choose what network you want to be on. So you're always going to know that if AT&T doesn't work in your neighborhood, you can switch to Verizon, all with Patriot Mobile. The network, 100% U.S.-based customer service. That's great when you call up, somebody speaks English and not with one of those funny accents, okay? That's great. Patriot Mobile is the official cell phone service provider of Stinchfield's Army, which is why I want you to get with them. Just make the switch today. For me, if I ask you anything. PatriotMobile.com/Grant. 972-PATRIOT. 972-PATRIOT. Make the switch today. I promise you, you won't regret it. All right. Hey, did you see this video? I think this is being downplayed, quite frankly, of the attack, and that's what it was in New York. Now, Jake Lang, you may remember him, a J6er, who I interviewed often when he was in prison. I think he's gone a little overboard with his protests. I'm not one to bring a roasted pig to taunt Muslims. That's not really the way I operate. I'm going to beat you with the argument that I am going to beat you by just literally sticking it in your face. Okay? But needless to say, it's a free country. You can do whatever he wants. It's not my way to do it. But you don't deserve to have a Molotov cocktail thrown at you. You don't deserve to have an improvised explosive device, a canister that is loaded with explosives, screws, nuts, and bolts that could have killed dozens of people if it exploded, but the concoction somehow must have been off. Well, these two goons, would-be jihadists, botched their attack, trying to throw these IEDs at Jake Lang and the counter-protesters outside Gracie Mansion. Take a look at this video. It's frightening. Watch the jihadist come up behind this guy on a bullhorn.
We were born and raised in New York, and we want everyone here to stay in New York. You don't get to come from outside and then tell everyone else.
see him take off down the street. Now, what he threw never actually exploded. So let's see if we can stop it.
Come from outside and then tell everyone else.
Look at that guy. Look, I want you to look at that picture right there. That is the face of a jihadist. That is the face of terror. That is the face of Iran, okay? There is no doubt in my mind throwing an IED like that is because of what's going on in Iran. When I tell you they have sleeper cells here, I promise you they have sleeper cells here. This is proof. Whether it's a lone wolf, whether it's an organized group of people, it doesn't matter. We are blessed. Jesus was looking out over these people that these two bombs did not explode. But I can tell you this, it was frightening to see what went down. There's other video too that I'll play for you as it went down. This is another angle. And what you're going to see here is people start running. Now they know the guy just ran. And they're going to chase him and ultimately get him. The police were so brave in all of this. Now watch this. They got the guy. Look at this. It's smoking. And that guy goes up to it. Are you nuts? It's filled with explosives, nuts and bolts that could go off and you're taking a picture next to it. That right there, folks, is the canister that was designed to kill dozens of people. People have to use their noggin a little bit. You going up and filming that is dangerous as all danger can be. Now, I will say this video continues. Let's say captured. These cops were so brave. They nailed him, and they nailed him quickly. He wanted everyone to know his name. There were reports that he said Allah Akbar. There are reports that he said that he was doing this in the name of ISIS. Go figure. And Mamdani, the mayor, comes out and doesn't condemn the attackers. He calls the attackers counter-protesters. And he says that the protesters shouldn't have incited this. That's making excuses for illegal, deadly behavior. And it is what those on the left do. And it most certainly is what a Muslim like Mamdani does, who I believe is a terrorist sympathizer that happened to steal the White House. Look at this video. So that's Jake Lang. This is the protest. You're going to see that bomb get thrown into them, and they start running when that happens. Watch this.
Report the white liberal women. They're killing people. Whoa. Whoa.
See? That's the explosive device that made it all the way right next to them.
What the fuck? That was the fucking bomb.
Was it? Somebody threw a fucking bomb, bro. That's a nail bomb.
What the fuck?
I didn't sign up for this. Holy fuck. Yeah, that was a nail bomb.
Yo, Jay.
Jesus is king. And he made it that that nail bomb didn't go off. Jesus is king. Thank you, Lord God. Thank you, Lord God. What just happened? Thank you, Lord God. They threw a nail bomb at us.
I agree with him. Thank you, Jesus. That is by the hand of God on their shoulders. Those bombs didn't go off. Now, it is a very common explosive. Richard Reed, the shoe bomber, tried to use it. You remember him? It's used in many, I believe the Ariana Grande explosion, this same explosive was used. They must have had the formula off. The concoction and proportion had to be off, which is why it didn't explode. But thank God it didn't. But again, folks, this is proof of why this operation in Iran is going on, why President Trump is taking the fight to them. And they are here because Joe Biden, Obama, let them in. Now, I don't know the exact immigration status of these two terrorists, but I do know this. We are in more danger now than ever before because of the open border situations. Please keep your head on a swivel. Know that this can happen at any freaking moment. All right, folks, as I let you go, don't forget, if you want to start winning again, if you want to go through a course that's going to change your mindset, become confident, not cocky, okay? Start winning. Figure out how to reframe your brain. Become the alpha in the room that everyone respects. Get the girl, get the job, get the business, get all these things. I want you to go through the Maverick Mindset course. TheMaverickSystem.com is the website. TheMaverickSystem.com. It's taught by me. It's real easy. It's a great course for teenagers, too. Get it for your kid. I've got it priced super cheap. The price is about to go up because we've had a nice response to this, and I'm about to raise the price. TheMaverickSystem.com, TheMaverickSystem.com. Go on offense and have that attitude that you know you have in you. You just need to figure out how to get it out there. All right, with that, folks, that's going to do it for us. Stinchfield's Army Rolls. I so appreciate all of you today. I'll see you on the Real America's Voice show tonight. Please like, subscribe to the podcast. My website, GrantStinchfield.com. You can sign up for the email list there. Stinchfield1776 on all the social media platforms. Again, Stinchfield's Army Rolls because of you. We'll see you back here tomorrow. Thanks for watching, everybody.